In this video, I'm going to show you how to use one of the template applications available from the yWorks GitHub repositories. If you go to github.com/yworks and use the find option to search for integration-basic, you will see all the template applications that we have served as a public repository on our GitHub. There's integration examples using React, Vue or Angular, and they basically all work the same. That is, they contain all the source code for you to clone and then locally install the dependencies and get started with the implementation. But before we do this, make sure that you have your evaluation or complete version of yFiles for HTML downloaded and at least opened once. So if you have started the demos before locally via one of the commands or via the instructions available from the README HTML, you should get the lib and lib-dev folders, and they will then contain inside the ES modules subfolder a TJC file, which is an archive file, which is the npm packed version of yFiles for HTML, because this is what all of the examples use. So make sure that you have these before you start the next steps. The very first step, however, is always the same. It's about cloning one of the repositories. So in this case, I'm going to search for the integrations on our GitHub, and let's go with the React app integration. So I could be just choosing the desktop in this example, and if it's next to your installation where you already downloaded yFiles for HTML and unpacked it, you won't have to make those changes in the package.json, because the package.json does contain some hard-coded references to the local version of the yFiles HTML package. So in my case, I will have to adjust these paths. So if you don't do this properly, you will probably get an error message. So make sure that these paths are correct. So in my case, I will have to make these changes. And if you know that you've run the package preparation command, you can just get rid of this pre-install over here too. And once you've done that, executing the npm install task will go and fetch all the dependencies and install them locally in the node modules folder. So this will get yFiles along with all the code completion files and the directory and the library files. And in this case, we're also fetching React and the corresponding libraries to work with it in our sample application. Let's take a quick look at how the application is structured. In this case, it's the JavaScript version of React. And since yFiles for HTML comes with a complete list of typings for TypeScript, in a good IDE like Visual Studio Code or any of the JetBrains IDEs, for example, WebStorm, you will also get full code completion in your JavaScript files as soon as yFiles for HTML has installed completely. So let's wait for that to happen. All of the packages are there, and which means that if I look into some of the code where there's a yFiles code, I should get a proper documentation and code completion lookup. So let's execute the next task, and that in this case is npm start. This will now go and build my React application, and while it compiles, let me just show you some of the features in here, because since this is a Create React app, this will load into a mode where I can make changes right on the right hand side in my code, and it will immediately reload on the I can make the changes on the left hand side, and it will reload on the right hand side immediately. So the very first time the development server starts. This will take a while because it builds up all these caches and the React application. But the next time it's going to start up much more quickly. And with the hot reload feature, actually doing development really gets smooth. So here's the application. It's a very simple one for you to modify. And as you can see, this is the code that creates some sample nodes in here. Let's just change the location of the first node, and this immediately reflects in the application. Let's also change the styling here. Let's do a shape node style. Specify the fill as, let's do red. Let's do a different shape. Let's make this an, I don't know, an hexagon. And okay, this works. So this is how you scaffold an application from one of the example source code repositories in our GitHub.